Hey guys, so some of you may know that I'm actually going to be participating in a speech competition this Monday. Today's Thursday, and so it's like a National Pro-Life Oratory Contest. And so this week I thought it'd be cool if I recorded my speech, which is about 7 minutes long, for you guys to hear and to critique before I actually go up there. So I'm a little bit nervous, but it's a really cool experience so far, so I hope you enjoy. The speech I'm doing is called Night and Day, and yeah, like night and day. That is how I see the issue of abortion. There is no question about it. Abortion is murder. Murder is wrong. Therefore, abortion is wrong. After all, what can possibly justify murder? In my eyes, it is so straightforward. However, I realize that such is not the case for everyone. For many people, there are gray areas, and to them, the issue is highly complicated. There is nothing wrong with admitting the complexity of an issue. But when it gets in the way of saving the lives of unborn children, it becomes a problem. It becomes wrong. To those who put themselves in the gray areas, who call themselves personally pro-life, the issue is really not that complicated. And you are not pro-life at all. What does it mean to be personally pro-life? People who are personally pro-life believe that abortion is a disgusting practice that ought to be limited. Notice I said limited and not abolished, because personally pro-life people believe that abortion should remain legal. They claim that they would not have an abortion, that it should be available for women facing difficult situations. There are a number of ways they try to justify their views. Most commonly, they say that there are complicated situations, pregnancies resulting from rape or incest, or pregnant single mothers who are in poverty and cannot care for their child. These justifications are easily refuted. There is one key factor to keep in mind. A majority of the personally pro-life believe that the unborn baby is a human being. Just let that sink in. They accept that the baby is a human being, not just a fetus, and many would even go further to say that the child is a human at conception. And yet they still think abortion should be legal. This is illogical and disturbing. On January 23, 2013, an article was published titled, "So What If Abortion Ends Life?" Underneath the headline were the words, "I believe that life starts at conception, and it's never stopped me from being pro-choice." The author of this article and many others assert that the murder of a human being is justified by difficult circumstances. Their argument is duplicitous and barbaric. It indicates that, despite what they say, they don't fully accept that the unborn child in the womb is in fact a human being. Ray Comfort in the movie 180 quickly gets to the heart of the matter with a simple statement. Fill in the blank. It's okay to kill a baby in the womb when... Alicia, one of the women in the video, tried to find an answer until she eventually stopped and said, "You know what? I can't think of one." The main flaw with being personally pro-life is that they ignore the fact that the baby, the human being, inside the womb has just as much of a right to live as you or me. I know it is simple and even cliche to say so, but it's a truth that so many try to gloss over. Looking at an unexpected pregnancy, fully realizing that there is a human being inside the woman, makes the decision clear and straightforward, but not necessarily easier. It is always darkest right before the dawn, but the light of a new life shines brighter, like night and day. Abortion doesn't solve any problems. Let's be real here and replace the word abortion with what it is: murder. Murder never solves any problems. If a woman was a victim to the terrible crime of rape, telling her to murder her child does not solve anything. Yes, I understand that she could potentially have a hard time living with a child whose father hurt her and scarred her so deeply. But murder does not solve that. Murder would only scar her further. What the woman needs is loving care from her family and maybe even someone to adopt her child, but not murder. Similarly, if a woman becomes unexpectedly pregnant and cannot care for her child, murder is not the answer. Such murder is expensive. At a minimum, in order to have an abortion in the first trimester, it would cost between $350 and $500, if there are no complications. Adoption is free. Why then is abortion even considered as an option? Logically, it doesn't actually make sense. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." Here's the bottom line. Personally pro-life is not pro-life. Looking back in history, there were people who were personally against slavery. They claimed that they would not own slaves themselves, but that slavery should be legal for others in order to help the economy. If slavery were abolished, the economy would suffer. We quickly understand that their views were wrong, and yet we repeat ourselves today. Our nation is filled to the brim with the personally pro-life, people who may as well be pro-choice because there is very little difference in what they believe. I am addressing a crowd of whom I assume are in the majority pro-life, and yet I cannot assume that there aren't personally pro-life among you today. And you in turn cannot assume that you do not have friends or family who are personally pro-life as well. It is our duty to challenge the personally pro-life to become purely pro-life. Like night and day. That is how straightforward abortion should be. Not because we care about the child more than the mother, or because we want the mother to go through any more pain, but because we fully recognize the fact that abortion does not solve any problems. It never has, and it never will. Murder does not solve any problems. It never has, and it never will. Let us not create or accept the gray area of the personally pro-life. There are really only two types of people in this world: pro-murder or pro-life. Night and day.